Welcome back. This is Maxim Grunin Art, doing drawing of a human skull. So my videos, my tutorials, they are centering around the education that I had in the past, in my experience, which is a classical school of old masters education that was common technical training for artists in Russia. I was born there, and I went to study art, and I was subjected to a rigorous program in foundation on drawing, painting, sculpture, color theory, all sorts of stuff. But it was very focused on skill acquisition. So it's believed that anyone who is capable of creating a visual art would be able to learn the language of proficiency in any kind of reproduction through drawing, painting, etc. And we would acquire a coherent skill set. So the school I went through was more about technical skill based education, and the function of that education would be production of visual culture for the state. So any artist would be trained to be extremely versatile and not necessarily rely on creative and passionate and original states of production or modes, but to acquire solid classical proficiency, all around a skill-based approach. So today in this tutorial I am sketching, drawing, studying through drawing human skull. A human skull is located under it's under the skin, under the muscle structure, and knowing the skeletal structure attributes to overall understanding and success in producing drawings of human face or human head, and then human figure as well. So we were taught to see everything as if it was made of glass. So to really understand structure, structural information, how to simplify and understand forms first with geometric figures or free shapes. So move from interior, from transparent, from really good understanding of underlying structure towards the exterior, little by little, towards progressing to have more complete, more recognizable image. So what are my strategies here? I locate or select a picture of a skull, and I will study it in 3 different positions: profile, straight on facing, and like a 3/4 view, half turned. Those are major angles of positioning of the human head and human skull. Most of the information will be gathered from studying these characteristic portions of the skull. So I mark in the beginning of the drawing, I mark the overall proportion, like what type of rectangle, what kind of box will my subject fit into, and then where would it be placed on the page, and then lightly sketching with, like, not pressing too hard, I begin to use an observation to map out the largest, most prominent features of the subject of the skull. So there is definitely a round, oval, or circular part where, you know, like the main portion of the skull, where all the organs inside the skull, the brain is positioned, and then there is a smaller area at the front that contains eye sockets, nose socket, and you know, all of the jaws and all of the bone structure of the face, or cheekbones are there, and the upper jaw, the lower jaw, and before any of these details come in, larger chunks of information are brought in. So yeah, that's laid in, and then I would go back and darken and refine some of the information that I've drawn, and I would use an eraser if I needed to remove some of the heavier, messier pencil areas and replace them with a little bit more carefully constructed outline or drawing. And if the eraser gets dirty from absorbing graphite, then I rub the eraser on on a cloth, like I have a piece of canvas on which everything, this white surface that I'm working on underneath the drawing pad is a canvas, so I can wipe the eraser over that to remove the mud of graphite from the eraser and to expose fresh white rubbery eraser edge, and use that again to clean up the drawing. And so some shading is introduced little by little. More dark areas are built up with shading, and the lines of hatching or shading are placed in such way, you know, it's like a clever way. The lines are going along the surface, the plane, the direction of the surface which I am drawing, which I am describing. So I can curve my shading lines to increase the notion that this part of the skull is cutting this way. So I will shade, let's say, vertically, and then I would shade in around an area or into the area. So that is these are the tips to use when shading, so that the shading is serving the form. And there we have it. Please do this exercise in your sketchbook, anywhere on any pages of paper, and get drawing. Thanks, guys.